Hi my loves, and welcome to a very impromptu weekend reading vlog. I had not had this planned, but basically it's an absolute glorious sunny day today and I'm sat outside reading, and I thought, you know what, since I'm reading and it's nice and sunny, I'll just vlog it. So it's bank holiday weekend, my dad doesn't have work until Tuesday, Alice doesn't have to go back to school till Tuesday. We're all literally just chilling out in a garden because it's absolutely scorching outside. Like, honestly, it feels like it's like a full summer's day. And yeah, I'm just literally chilling on my favourite chair in the garden, enjoying the sun and reading. And I thought, do you know what? Let's just vlog it. It's going to be a fun, relaxing vlog. You know, why not? So I'm currently reading The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Not on my TBR for April. Like, it is the last day of April. April's TBR's just gone out the window. Basically, I've literally just mood read whatever I want to read. Like, I haven't even read my book club book because it was too depressing. I was like, I'm not in the mood for it. I haven't even done my Fairy Loot book either. Like, everything's just gone out the window. I've been really poorly in April, and when I finally got my reading mojo back, I was just like, I just want something really easy to read, and I've been reading romance. So we're going with the whole romance train still because that's how I'm feeling, so that's what we're going with. So I'm reading The Hating Game with Sally Thorne. I have watched the movie. I love the movie so much that I bought the book because I wanted to see the comparison, and I've only read the first chapter, but already there are some things that are in the book that's different to the movie, which I'm really liking, so I'm very intrigued to see whether there's more twists and turns in this than in the movie. I don't know. I'm just very much in the mood to compare it and see which was done better, the movie or the book, because I absolutely adored the movie. I thought it was brilliant. So, you know. So I'm currently reading this. Basically, if you don't know what this book is about, we follow Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman, who both work at Bexley and Gambit. It's like a two different publishers sort of company, but they both were in the brink of going redundancy, and so they merging together, and they're like all working together and all that and stuff. But they're all pretty much like each company are like rivals, but specifically Lucy and Joshua, they're both sort of in the same job roles, but like Joshua's with his boss, whereas Lucy's with her boss and all that. And basically there is a promotion, but there's only one spot. So now Lucy and Joshua are like competing on one another to grab this spot. Basically, also like rivals, they play these really immature, silly games. Like, they play the staring game, the mirror game, the HR game, and now they're playing the hating game. And basically, they're just trying to get this promotion. But at the same time, they've been told that they have to work together and they have to play nice, because if they don't, then neither of them are even going to be in the run-up for the promotion. So they're sort of like doing that. But obviously, sparks fly, and maybe they don't hate each other, maybe they like each other and all that. Like, I know what happens. Like, this is an enemies to lovers trope. I very much am aware what happens and everything because of watching the movie, but I'm just really excited to read this book and just compare and decide which one I prefer the most, or whether they're both equal. So I'm going to be reading this weekend. I do read romances really fast, so this possibly might be done in one like sitting. So if that's the case, then I think I will then pick up The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, just because this is another, like, I think this is like a false relationship or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I was like, I'm just in a mood for another cute romance, so if I finish this like today, then I'll pick that up. But the plan is just to read, to chill out in the sun. Hopefully the rest of this weekend is going to be really, really hot and sunny as well. Today we are going to have a barbecue later, so that will be really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan. It's, like I said, an impromptu vlog. It's just going to be a very chilled back, relaxing vlog. I'm not going to do too much talking. I'm just going to be reading and then updating you probably here and there. And then yeah, it's just going to be a very chilled, enjoy the weather, enjoy a long weekend, and just chill. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this vlog, and I will update you all probably when I've read quite a chunk of this book, and to give you whether, like, you know, am I enjoying this more than the film, whether I enjoy the film more, whether it's equal, that kind of thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this vlog, and I'll catch up with you all a little bit later. evening, my loves. I just wanted to quickly pop on and give you a little reading update because I'm not going to do any more reading this evening. Me and my parents are going to go and watch a movie tonight, or just once I get in my pyjamas basically, but we're going to watch Enchanted, which has got Tom Holland in and Mark Wahlberg. Me and my mum have been wanting to watch this for ages, but it never came out in our local cinema. So then it was like waiting to see like how long it would be till it came on DVD and all that, and lo and behold, it was out. So my mum actually ended up getting like a digital copy, like so you can use it anywhere, like on tablets, phones, stuff like that, which I think is quite handy actually, because especially when we go camping, we actually have like a movie on hand rather than on Netflix or Prime, where sometimes if we don't have any Wi-Fi, we're a bit stumped. So we're going to go and watch that. So probably not going to do any more reading this for the remainder of this day. But I made quite a bit of dent into the hating game. I'm on page 166, chapter 14, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So, like I said, I've obviously watched the movie, so I'm very much like seeing now how much the movie is the same as the book, and I've got to say, so far, yes, it is. There are a few bits that are different in the movie. So, for example, the actual offices themselves. So, in the book, they are like very mirrored. Like they can see lots of reflections and stuff like that. Whereas in the movie, it isn't. There's like big windows. Like there's like obviously lots of scenes where she does her lipstick. And in that is like a little pocket mirror and stuff like that. Whereas in here, she's using like the reflections of like this, the stainless and mirrored stuff. So that's different. Also, I can't really remember her name. I think it's Julie or possibly Julia. There's like that work colleague who basically keeps asking for deadlines, keeps asking for these favours and blah blah blah, and Lucy keeps saying yes. So in the book, it's just telephone calls because she's like a few floors down from where Lucy's like office is. Whereas in the movie, this person's always asking, like comes up to her and asks and stuff. So we've got that. The elevator scene, exactly like what the movie is, which I love. The paintball scene, the movie's gone exactly like what the book is. I've also got to the bit now where she's had to admit to him that Josh's kisses are the best thing ever, sort of thing. So we're like at that scene. Like I feel like the banter in the book is 10 times better than in the movie. Like in the movie, I thought was really good anyway. Like I love the banter in here, but I feel like in the book you've got more, which obviously in that case it is like a book. You've got more character building, more world building, like what you would get in a movie. Like in a movie, it's more visual stuff. Rather, this is like not so much. So I'm loving the banter in this. This is like 10 times more than in a movie, and I'm thriving. Like I'm thriving with this. I'm like yes, love it. It's quite funny as well because I watched the movie. I'm obviously got like both Lucy and Josh's, like because I've watched the movie, I've got the actors that you can see on there. Like I'm thinking like when it's their scenes, I think of them. I do feel like with the movie, they cast Lucy's like they cast the actress who played Lucy, who I'm sure is called Lucy anyway. I'm not 100% sure. They cast her perfectly in my opinion. She's small. She's very much is that sort of quirkiness like what Lucy's character's in here. For Josh, like I don't know the actor in the movie anyway, like he's not known to me, but for Josh I kind of have it in my head like if I hadn't watched the movie, like an actor I would probably put him as is maybe Ryan Reynolds, purely because Ryan Reynolds is really good with humour and the banter and stuff like that. I also have there's moments where I kind of feel like Channing Tatum just because of the like physique kind of sense. Like there's a few actors that I could think of that I would have put for Josh's character in a movie, in my opinion. But it might just be purely because I do not know this actor to really warrant. But just the way Josh is described in this book, it is very drop dead gorgeous, very ripped and all that. And I just feel with the actor in the movie, like he is very easy on the eye, but I wouldn't put him as like drop dead gorgeous, like how the books made him out, in my opinion. But yeah, like pretty much the book, like the movie is near enough exactly the same as the hating game, which I love. I love the fact that it is very much following on the same as the book. There's just like little tiny bits that are changed, but like nothing that I would say is a big deal. Like, the office is completely different, which is fine. It's not really like the main, it doesn't matter. It's still an office and all that. The same with like this Julia person. In the book, we've got more banter and all that. I also find in the book, like, obviously it's been a while since I've watched The Hating Game. It was like, I'm sure it was in March, the beginning of March sometime. But I remember in the movie, the Danny character, I feel like Lucy and Danny had more dates in that than in the book itself. Like, they had one date, which was she pretended that she had a date for the reason why she was all done up and all of that. And then so she literally asked Danny on a date because she knew he was sort of interested in her. So she had that date. And then her second date was like literally the day after, or the day of her going back to work after her puking session, all that. And she basically said yes because Josh pretty much said to her, you need to kiss him to decide which one you want, sort of thing. And I just feel like in the book, she's only had 2 dates and not very long ones, whereas in the movie, I felt like Danny's dates with Lucy were there were more of them and a bit longer. And I can't fully remember, like, it might have been the same, and it was just, there was a lot happening that I didn't take notice. But just for me, I feel like in the book, the dates are very, there was just 2 dates, that's it. I feel like in the movie, there was a lot more of Danny. But I think for me, I need to rewatch the movie. Like, once I finish this, I think I should rewatch the movie to like fully compare. But that's how I kind of remember the movie. That there was more dates of Danny than it is in the book. I might be completely wrong. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Like, I think I'm like probably a chapter or 2 away from the halfway point. But it's a very quick, easy read. I absolutely love the banter. Like, obviously I know how it ends, but they're just now getting to the point where they're sort of starting something. And that's when everything gets all cute and sweet and that. So yeah, I'm really interested when we get to the actual sex scene to see how steamy it is in the book to the movie, because of the movie you can't really go full steam ahead because that would be porn. So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, I'll pick this up tomorrow, unless I do some more reading later on tonight, but I don't think so because I want to edit a video that I filmed. So I think I'm just going to pick this up tomorrow. I definitely will finish it tomorrow, and then I'm probably going to pick up The Love Hypothesis. But yeah, so that is my update. I'm now going to put my pyjamas on, get a gin and lemonade, and watch this movie. So I'll check in tomorrow. Bye!
Pardon? No, I was waiting for her to come and sit down and then put it on.
Good evening, my loves. It's been a very chilled, laid-back Sunday. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't wake up until about 11ish. I think it might even been 11:30 to be fair. I got dressed. I had a picnic lunch with my daughter. I had a social media hour, and then I finally picked up my book. But I have finished The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and I loved it. I love how the ending was different. I can't decide which ending I love, because in the movie, basically, they're in a competition with each other because they both want to have this promotion, so they start like fighting each other. But along the way, they've also realised that there's some flirting tension there, and so they kind of feel like if they shag each other for one time, it will get out of their system, sort of thing. But obviously, feelings catch and all of that malarkey. Basically, in the movie, Lucy and Josh have the interview, or so she thinks, and basically she thinks the job's his, but it isn't. It goes to her. She finds out that actually he's working somewhere else. So sort of, in some sense, the ending of this is very similar to what it is in the movie, but in this, it's never given them the interview or anything. It's literally come back from the wedding, and they both end up finally sharing how they feel and all that. And he then breaks the news to say that he's got a job elsewhere, because he said the most important thing for him is to be with her, sort of thing. So the ending is slightly different to the movie, and I don't know which ending I prefer. I kind of like the whole, like, they sort of finally have some sort of feelings and it's clear, and then they go back to hating, or she goes back to hating him, and then it ends like all cute and happy in the end. So I'm just like, ooh, which way do I like? Like, I think the book did absolutely amazing with the banter. I think the book itself, more than the movie, the book certainly had more banter. I honestly think this did the banter well. Like, there was a lot of banter in the movie, but I don't feel it was as much as in the book. I'm really glad that the main things about this, main things in this, well, basically the main things I loved in the movie, I'm glad it copied from the book. Like, you know, with there's lots of scenes, like, you know, the elevator scene, the sort of paintball scene, this sort of her going to his place scene, and then even the wedding scene, especially when she shouts at Josh's dad. Like, I was hoping we were going to get that in the book, and we did. There were lots of, I think the most changes from the book to the movie was just tiny bits, like with this colleague who constantly wants all these favours. Like, in the book, she's just a phone call, whereas in the movie, she's face to face. And actually, in the movie, loads of things do happen, whereas in this, it never happens. Like, there was like 2 things, and like then she says no. So whereas in the movie, it was dragged on a little bit. I also felt in the book, there wasn't much of Danny, whereas in the movie, I felt like there was. Like, I'm actually decided that I am going to watch the movie tonight just to completely compare, because obviously I've watched the movie, I think it was a couple of weeks, possibly a month ago. So I think I'm going to watch the movie tonight just to like remember what happened, to see how different or not different it was. But I love this. There was a little extra at the back for another book by Sally Thorne, which I think is Second First Impression. And I'm not going to lie, I think I'm going to have to start buying some Sally Thorne books, because I just like how she writes. Like, I feel like she is another very good slow burn romance author. Like, Mariana Zapata, I absolutely love, because her books are so slow burn. Like, they are extremely slow burn. But to me, they make me want to keep reading them, because I want to generally know if they ever get together. And I feel that's what makes her books really good, because you have that thing of, I need to know what happens. And I feel like with Sally Thorne, it is exactly the same. Like, it's not as slow burn, I would say, as Mariana Zapata, because with this, you've got the flirty banter. You know, they do know they like each other more than they're letting on. So it's not that they don't like each other. It's just, I think, like, he more so, like, Josh was just like, you know, I don't want it to be a one-time thing. And I think for a while, Lucy was just thinking it was. But I absolutely love this. And I'm going to watch the movie tonight just to, like, completely compare. But I thought the book was brilliant. I think the movie is brilliant. I like that all of the major big things change. Like, the ending in the movie is different to the book. And I'm still not quite decided which ending I prefer. So I think I'm going to watch the movie and watch it and then determine, and I might come back to you and say whether I preferred this ending or actually the movie's ending. But either way, I love the book. 5 stars. Definite. Like, I already want to reread it just for my feelings, like how I felt. So I did say I was going to pick up The Love Hypothesis, because obviously I've still got another day in this long bank holiday weekend. I'm not going to pick it up purely because we're now in the beginning of May. I do have a rather big May TBR, and I was like, I do need to start it. However, I decided I'm going to pick up another romance, because I have got a romance that's specifically on my TBR, and it actually fits for 2 prompts for 2 different readathons, and I thought I might as well at least get to say that I've ticked off a prompt for each. So I'm going to be reading A Lesson in Corruption by Gia Darling. This is a dark romance. It's a teacher-student romance, and I'm very excited. So that's what we are going to read next, but that probably happen tomorrow rather than tonight. But I will catch up with you after I've watched the movie to tell you which ending I prefer. the movie, and there was actually a lot of differences in the movie to the book, but obviously not knowing until I read the book. For example, the shirts. He had like off-white and like mustard and blue. So in the movie, it's all different shades of blue. His like flat, it isn't a blue room, it's green. And also I felt like in the book she constantly wore flamethrower red lipstick, but actually in the movie she didn't have it on as often as in the books. Also, the Danny part's exactly the same as the book to the movies. I just felt like there was more of him, but I think it was just because he was on scene a lot. The ending's obviously different, and the sex part was different as well. So in the movie, they actually had sex at the hotel when it was his brother's wedding, but that actually in the book didn't happen. They went back to his and then they did, and then that's when he told her about that he loved her and that he quit. So actually in the book it was like a full slow burn. It was like the last like couple of pages, that's when all the steaminess happened, whereas in the movie the steaminess happened more in the middle, and then it was back to hating one another again. So there was that. I also felt like Lucy's boss was really different in the movie than she is in the book. In the book, she had like short hair, and I felt like she dressed more posher. And like obviously, like I said, the office is completely different. Like in the office in the book, it's all mirrored and everything like that, whereas in the movie isn't, as well as like the Smurfs and the car. So in the books, it's just Lucy's got an obsession, whereas in the movie it's saying that he likes the Matchbox cars. And as well, in the books he actually gives her a car and all that, saying that it reminds me of you because of the red, whereas he actually puts it on her office table, and then she gives him a Smurf on his office table in the movie. So like tiny little things sort of are different in the movie than in the book. Now actually going into like which one I prefer, I'm going to have to say the book. Like, the slow burn was brilliant. I think there was more banter in the book. And I still don't know how I like the ending. I kind of like the movie's ending. Just because they've like gone from like both liking each other, he admitted he loved her, and then everything went to pot, and then they like hated each other again, and then it ended as in she got a job and all of that, and then they fell in love. I quite like the ending in that. Whereas in the book, it was sort of everything all happened at the end and it all ended well, but you never actually knew whether she got a job or not. So I think overall the book won it, but I think I prefer the movie's ending. But yeah, 5 stars for the book, 5 stars for the movie. I quite happily will watch this movie over and over again. So yeah, that's that update. I'm now going to start a little bit of my new book on my Kindle, which is Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling, or Gianna, I can't remember. But I will update you with what the book's about and everything tomorrow. But yeah, a good weekend so far. Good afternoon, my loves. I need to talk about this book with you, so let's just do that. I am reading Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling. This is the Fallen Men series, book 1. The Fallen Men are basically a motorcycle gang. This is a MC romance. It is a student-teacher romance. There is an age gap. I suppose you could say there's a bit of a few taboo moments in this with the whole teacher-student age gap kind of malarkey. This book is trash. Let's just really go into it. This book is trash in a sense that, you know, there's very little plot. There's very little with the characters. It's just pretty much sex-related and all that. You know, a lot of people probably really won't like this book, but I'm just going to admit it and say I'm absolutely loving this book. I just like how cheesy and how, oh my goodness, like, does this actually happen kind of thing, and I'm just vibing. Last night I was fanning myself because, my word, this book is steamy. Like, I love dark romance. I've read quite a lot of dark romances. There are some that can be quite triggering, but after a while it gets like you can't help be involved in the books and all of that. And, you know, you can't lie, the books, especially dark romance, it really does go in depth with the whole sex scenes. And this book goes in depth. Like, I think this is the steamiest book I've read in a while. And I got really hot under the collar yesterday. I was like, oh my god, like, I'm a single girl and I'm not really getting much So this book is just like, well, I can just imagine this all happening to me. That's pretty much, yeah. Anyway, moving on. In terms of the writing, in terms of the characters, in terms of the plot, there's not really much going on in this book. I don't care though, because I'm having a fantastic ride and I can't help really like the characters, and I'm just having the best time at the minute, and I just kind of like, do you know what, I don't care that the writing's not brilliant, I don't care that that's very little plot, I don't care the fact that this book is pretty much just sex. I don't care, because I am enjoying myself, and that's all that matters. But basically, what the book is about is we follow Cressida, who is Cressida. I don't know how to pronounce it. We're going to call her Cress. Just call her Cress. We follow Cress. She's 26 years old. She's a teacher at this very proper school. Like, it's only the brightest people can go in and all that. And she's managed to get a job there. She's got quite a good rapport with her students. They all like her, she all likes them, she doesn't have any problems. Like, she's a pretty damn good teacher, to be fair, the fact that all of her students like her. And basically, 3 months before all of that, she was in the car park, and like a supermarket car park, and she is staring at this bloke. He's blonde, he's all in like biker gear, he's with his bikes, he's with his friends, and she's just literally saw him and melted. She literally just, within one look, not even speaking to him or actually properly seeing him, she falls in love with him. And they end up like locking eyes, and like some sort of sizzling steamingness happened, and then that was it. And basically, Cressida's past is at 18 she got married. Her parents forced her to marry, and it was with her next door neighbour, who happened to be her father's best friend, and he was 36 years old. So 36 years old, 18, they got married. She was with him for 8 years, and it is pretty much a loveless marriage. She's a housewife. He doesn't particularly like her working, but she's like, I'm going to work at least part-time, which is what she did. He hates the fact that sometimes he's home before she is, and that she hasn't got his food on the table and all that. It's like a very, typical old relationship where the woman has to be the housewife kind of thing. Their sex life is pretty dismal and all of that. And basically, after seeing this bloke in the car park, she realised that she can't do this anymore. Like, she wants to live, and Cressida has got like a dark side to her. We don't know fully what, but there's something happened between her and her brother, and it was the one time where she actually fully embraced who she was, like that like dark side of her. And obviously something happened, they all got into trouble, and her brother went into jail, sort of thing. So that's kind of the plot bit that I'm hoping we might get, because I'd like to know what happened. But basically, after seeing this bloke, she was like, enough's enough, I can't do this, I can't live my life where I am literally bored to death. She's not in love and anything like that, and she wants to live. So she ends up leaving her husband. She's trying to file for a divorce. He won't do it because he's a prick, but they're currently separated. Anyway, we go 3 months later. She's obviously at her job. She's got like a new student, but they haven't bothered turning up. She gets invited with some of her work colleagues to go out for a drink, so she does. She enjoys the time, and basically she feels like someone's looking at her, glances over her, and boom, the bloke that she saw in the car park is there at the bar, and he basically beckons her to come over. She just found out also from her friend, like her work colleague, that she's dating one of the blokes in the Fallen gang, and she was like, how does that work? Like, how can you get past that? He's a criminal. And she goes and says he might not respect the law and the rules for that, but when it comes to family, people they trust, friends, they're women. They said they are loyal, sensitive and all that. And she said, they are amazing lovers. They've got someone to pay attention. And she said she goes to Zen, and that is very hard to leave. And Cress was like, makes sense. Anyway, she goes over to the bloke, and they end up going out at the back of the bar, and basically he's just saying all of these lines, they're really cheesy and it's slightly what the hell. And she ends up going on a bike ride with him. Nothing actually happens sexually, they just make out a lot. And she was like, I'm not doing this, she then finds out that he's part of the Fallen gang, and she's like, no, and all that. And anyway, he basically was like, look, whatever, bring your car in, because he noticed that her car was completely run down and all that. He remembered her from the supermarket as well. Anyway, later on, the following day, she drops her car there because she does want it fixed. he makes another move, and they sort of end up going on a date, and like they won't go out to a restaurant and have a burger and stuff like that, and they have like a blast, they make out and all that. Again, she's like, oh no, like, you're like, it's not gonna work, you're a criminal, I can't get over that, blah blah blah. But then she also finds out that he's part of the Fallen Gang, but not part of it quite yet. And like he's not sure if he wants to be, so that sort of was like, oh. Anyway, she goes back to school, and lo and behold, the bloke that she's sort of had a few dates with is her student, and then she's like, what the fuck? Basically, like, after the lesson, she pretty much keeps him behind and says, no, nothing's going to happen, nothing can happen now, you're my student, blah blah blah. Now, here's the thing, in America, it's different than what it is in the UK. Like, 18 to us, you're either at the end of college or you're going into university, whereas in the US, 18 is still in like high school and still in school. So it's quite interesting to see that, because to me personally, I'm thinking, well, actually, yes, it's like a teacher-student moment, but like in the UK, like more than likely that is in university, and we're sort of classed more as like going into adulthood rather than kids. So I'm like, there's that part of me thinking, well, actually, is that really taboo? But because it's in the US, it's in America, actually, yeah, because in that age you're still in school, whereas in the UK we're not. So she's like, no. But basically he's smitten over her. They're both smitten with each other. Like, it is an insta-love, which I hate, but it's done in a way that I don't actually mind, because it's very much he's just like flirting with her and saying all these stuff and just dirty talking, and is already getting her hot under the collar without even him touching her. And I kind of like that, just because I'm thinking it's not actually full on I'm in love with you and all that, but it's clear they do like each other and they have fallen for each other, but it's done in a way where it's like, it's more done like dirty talking and that kind of thing. So she's battling with that, like, I don't want like, anything to happen, and then basically something happens. She sort of dobs him in, but also protects him at the same time, and then it ends up that he has to have a month-long detention, and it happens to be with her. So he does his first detention, and she also uses like detention to help students with homework, or if they're having a bad time at like in their home. Like, she's there just to give them like emotional support and stuff. After she's talked to a girl who's got cancer and she's just starting chemotherapy, when she leaves, it's like literally about 10 minutes left of King, that's his name, King's detention, and basically he goes down on her, and that happens, and it's very steamy and all that, and she's like, no. Then later on down the line, her husband decides to turn up at her school, because he pretty much wants her to go on like a work meal, and he wants her to be with him. Basically, he's now at the point of like, you're my wife, you're not divorcing me, like blah blah blah, and he's just not taking no for an answer. And she starts shouting at him in a car park, and basically King's dad, for whatever reason, was there, and he ends up like pretending that he's Cress's boyfriend, and he's like pretty much saying blah, all this like threatening stuff. William obviously buggers off, and then he basically talks to Cress and says, I see why my son likes you and all that, and pretty much King's dad, who is obviously the leader of the Fallen Gang, he's pretty much just given her a go ahead to date his son, which is just pretty interesting. And obviously she's like thankful for what he is, and like they've also sort of seemed to become friends as well, which is very interesting. Anyway, she goes back into school, and like she's there to collect herself, and then King's like, what's wrong, what's happened? So she sort of tells him. She's like obviously having a moment, and they end up making out, and him going down on her again in the library. That's very steamy. And like she's like, this is not going to happen, like blah blah blah. At the same time, King, his father, and all of the Fallen Bike Gang have basically decided to sort of help her out. So they decided to help her out with her cabin that she owns, which is really run down, it needs work done. So they decided to start helping her with all of like the gardening bit and stuff like that. And she starts to like sort of feel like a family, like, she's getting on with everyone. She can sort of understand what her work colleagues said, because they're all sort of, yes, they're criminals, but they're actually, they look out for their family and all that, and they like help them out and all that. So she's sort of like kind of like sad, and obviously with her childhood, like how she's been brought up, her parents are conservatives. They think she made a massive big mistake. They're saying she's in a midlife crisis, while she's trying to divorce her husband even though she's 26. Like, she's in the end, and then she had like a one-to-one talk with King's father again. He basically said, my son likes you. If you do not like him in that way and anything, then you need to really make it clear that there's nothing going to happen, otherwise it's going to continue trying to get you. He said, but if you do like him the same way, go for it. And she was like, but he's my student, like, it wasn't even, at this point, I don't even think it's to do with the gang. I don't even think it's the age gap either, even though it's only 8 years. I think it's generally because he's a student and she needs a job because, like, she's got loads of bills. Like, you know, she's obviously paying lawyer bills because her husband won't divorce her, so she's constantly paying that to try and get that to happen. In the end, her and King end up having sex, and then they had sex, and then they had sex. There was a lot of sex, and it's coming clear that she does like him, like she's fallen for him. It's clear that he has too. So that's where we're at. We're also at that her husband is at her cabin door demanding to come in. So, and King's like literally just had sex. King's in a thing. She's like, shit. So yeah, like it's very in some sense taboo. But also like it's quite interesting. Like when you think about it, if it's roles reversed, if the teacher's actually a man and it's a girl who is the 18-year-old, everyone would be like, no, that's wrong. But because it's the other way around, you're like, well, is that really bad? And like it's quite wrong to say that because in hindsight, you know, like for me it's really hard because, like, you know, yes, he's a student, but in the UK here, like 18 is sort of classed as going into an adult, and like we're mainly at 18, I think we're going into university, or if you don't go to university you're working. So it's like you kind of like, is it wrong? Like it would be different, I think, if it was a 15-year-old and a 30-year-old man, or vice versa, like that to me, because like, you know, they're not even at that age to have sex, like it's still classed as rape and all that. So like I can get that. I don't know, it's just like one of those questions, like is it right, is it wrong? But this is just steamy as hell. I'm thriving, I'm loving it. Like, you know, there's not very much plot here, but I don't care. Like I also actually, when I really dissect the characters, especially Cress and King, like King to me is quite possessive in some sense, and he sort of doesn't take no for an answer. So you're like, ooh, like, in hindsight, you're like, is he quite controlling? And like at Cress, it's also someone who's just very naive and pretty much just does what people expect it to do rather than make her own choice and all that. So when you look at it like that, you're like, ugh. But just how it's done, like their banter and how angsty it is, and just everything like that, I just can't help love it. And there's like some quotes that I've just been, oh my god, that's just perfect. So as much as this book is a trash book, and like in hindsight most people be like, why are you reading it, I'm loving the journey I'm having. I'm loving all of the sex scenes. It certainly fits the prompt. This book's for the prompt of Desertathon, which is read a book that makes you warm. It's certainly making me a bit hot under the collar, so this book certainly fits that prompt. But yeah, I'm halfway through. I don't even know where I am actually. I'll tell you what page I'm on. What page am I on, guys? So I'm on page 201, chapter 17, so I'm 51% in. Yeah. I'm loving this book in its trashy kind of way. I'm loving the ride that I'm having, so I'm now going to continue reading this, and I'm going to finish it today, and then that will be the end of this vlog. But I'm loving this book in all of the wrong ways, but I don't care. So I'll catch up with you when I finish this book, and I'll give you my final thoughts, and then I'll end this vlog. So I'll see you later. I've just finished Lessons in Corruption. It got tons better. Like, you know, I said it was like trash, like no plot or anything like that. I lied. The plot really did pick up. Just as I thought everything was ending really good and happy, like happily ever after, shit went down. I was like, no. And then another plot just, and I was like, oh, no. Yikes. So it ended up getting a little bit of a plot. So like I said, something happened between Cressida and her brother. Like there was a past. So it turns out that it was her bachelorette. And her brother and her went out and bar hopped basically, and then there was this really cute guy she ended up flirting with. She obviously was drinking quite a bit, and like he ended up saying, "Oh, come with me." And long story cut short, he was trying on. She kept saying no, he didn't have it, and basically she kept saying no. He nearly raped her. Her brother found out, and obviously he could see the situation. He could see that his sister said no, and he shot him. And obviously, she was young. She basically was saying, he was raping me. He was about to rape me. My brother protected me, but they didn't care about that because he shot someone. So he went down for second-degree murder. And he got out after good behaviour after 6 years. So that was that. I think what I liked about this book is we actually saw Cress's character grow. Like, she was very naive, very very young considering her age. Like, obviously she's still young, but very young considering her age. Like, her parents pretty much, we don't like her parents, we don't like William either. They pretty much groomed her to do this. Like, she never had a choice. The fact that her parents made her marry a 36-year-old man. Like, I don't give a crap that there's a teacher-student relationship. I don't really care the fact that he's 18 and she's 26, because in my mind that isn't that bad. What her parents did and what this grown man did to Cressida's completely wrong, in my opinion. That's how I kind of view it as. But I just liked how her character grew, because she actually found who she truly was, and she realised that she wasn't this prim and proper girl, and in fact there's a darker side to her. She loves fiercely, she protects people and all that. She'll do anything for her loved ones and her friends and stuff. I love that we've got a bit of a family trope in regards to, like, the Fallen. Like, they all embraced her, they all loved her, and she had that family, and they all had her back, and they were all helping to make where she lives a bit more livable and all that. They even fixed her car and made it look like a brand new car, even though it was the same car. It just had a very big uplift. And I just liked that. And, like, she finally gave her all with King, and then basically something happened and she was like, I can't watch this again. I watched my brother get arrested and go to prison. I can't watch it again. Like, I can't watch it even though I know you're innocent and all of that. And so she walked. And then all this crap happened. Like, King got arrested. She quit her job. So, it didn't matter now that, she could absolutely embrace her relationship with King, because she no longer was working at school. And then there's, like, basically, like, she went to him. She got a tattoo of one of her favourite poems by him. And she pretty much said, I'm in for the long run. I'm your queen. I will protect you. I'll protect the Fallen and blah, blah, blah. And then flipping a whole big thing happened. So she got called to the police to discuss, and she thought it was to do with the Fallen. Turned out it was to do with William. So William has been actually doing fraud. He's been embezzling money and all of that. And it's becoming clear that, like, her husband is going to be put to jail for 5 years and blah, 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 and all of that. And so, like, she's completely shocked because she, like, there was evidence shown. She was like, she completely was against loving King because of his criminal activity. But then someone that, like, she was groomed to love and all of that, turns out that he was actually more criminal than this lot. And then, to make things matters worse, she goes out of the police station, she talks to Zeus, which is King's father, and, like, he had her back. She goes home and she stops off to go and get gas, and she gets hit in the back of the head. And then she wakes up, she's in the warehouse, she's got massive big nails stuck in a thing. She's had her jaw broken, she's got, like, broken ribs. She obviously had been sort of slashed on her throat, but nothing, like, nasty to the point to kill her. And it turns out that her brother double-crossed her in some sense. And so basically, William hired someone to kidnap his wife for them to go on holiday and all that, blah, 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 to, like, run away. And in doing so, he ended up using the other, not a Fallen gang, but this other notorious gang that, like, are rivals, and they're the ones that are pushing all these drugs and putting the fall on the Fallen, blah, blah, blah. So William ends up hiring them, and they end up basically doing two things. So they were going to, like, they basically, like, well, they're not going to give William the girl, they're going to actually try and get information about the Fallen, because they believe that Cress is actually dating Zeus rather than King. And, like, if they weren't going to get any information out of her, they were going to kill her. Luckily, the Fallen got a tip-off, which turned out it was her brother, and they all went out guns blazing, and then flipping, King nearly got killed, and she was just about to kill the bloke, and Zeus says, give me the knife, and so he did it, so, And then it ends pretty much that, it ends happily in some sense. Basically, her and King end up going to university and doing, like, so they're both students sort of thing, and they're living together and all that. So it ends in a way that it has potential for another book. Like, it was a whirlwind, like, the half and all of that at the end was a whirlwind. I honestly thought shit was going to go really bad, and I was like, I'm not ready for it. So it really did pick up, and I really loved that. So it turns out there's a 7-book series, which I didn't realise. So all books are standalones, but they sort of interlink. So the first book we follow King and Cress, the second book we follow Zeus and, like, a forbidden love, which turns out to be the mayor's daughter. The third book, you don't actually find out who the name is, like, who it is, but you know who the man is. But I think it's Zeus and King, so Zeus's daughter, King's younger sister. It looks like the third book is about her. Now that is, like, age gap. It's not a forbidden romance, it's an actual age gap, which makes sense because in the first book that I just read, she was 15, and at the end she was 16. So depending on how it is, she might possibly be 18 in that book. But it's an age gap because she's in love with the police officer that's in the beginning of Lessons in Corruption, which is like the arch nemesis of the Fallen Gang. So there's that. Then the fourth book, which I'm so tempted to read now, it goes back to King and Cressida, which is the only book where it goes back to the characters, because each book is different characters from like the Fallen Gang. So the fourth book goes back to Cressida and King, like obviously from their life in university, but obviously something happens that causes King to go back to the Fallen Gang, and it's like the synopsis says like, can my queen actually play dirty? Like, you know, she's got the whole saying that she could, but she never has to. It's now got to the point that she's going to have to. So I'm so tempted to go and read that just because I want to know what happens. But I read some of the reviews and people said that the story kind of sort of copies, like follows from what happened in the third book, which is the age gap. There's something happened there, and like and that's what sort of brings the fourth book. So I'm like, I think I might have to read them in order just because I know the background. And they all are standalones, but it also is like it's characters you learn. So I know the 4 books of who it is. 5, 6, and 7 I don't, but I do know it's going to be part of the Fallen Gang, and I think it probably focuses on some of the main characters. But I love it. Am I going to read this series? Yes. I'm kind of hoping that some of these books might fit the smart readathon that I'm participating in, because there's a dark romance reel that I'm going to do, and there's like age gap, forbidden romance, and I mean, so there's like a sort of dark romance prompts there. So I'm kind of hoping that some of these books in this series might fit that, so I can read it. But I'm, as much as I want to pick up book 2, I'm not. So I'm going to hold off because I want to now pick up All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, because that fits the prompt for the royal readathon, the couples. The prompt's there because the prompt for All Roads Lead Here fits the forced proximity. So I'm going to read that, because then at least I can say I've clicked another prompt off and fit on the whole I'm reading romance in this vlog. So I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to end this vlog. So then I'm going to start another vlog, and I think I'm just going to start reading some more romance. I think May is going to be a month full of romance, possibly. We'll see. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Loved it. It got better as we've gone on, and I'm now saying it's not trash because there ended up being quite a bit of a plot, and I'm really excited to pick up the remaining books. But now I'm going to go and pick up All Roads Lead Here, which is on my Kindle again, but I'm going to read that. I know I'm going to love it purely because I love Mariana Zapata. She writes slow burn romance amazing, and it just gives me a little bit of a cool down from steamy sex to a really slow burn. You finally get it at the end, but it's a single father who's the main like male attraction, and I'm really keen on that because I'm a single mother, and actually seeing a single father rather than a single mother has really intrigued me, and I'm like, oh, I want to know his story. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So I'm going to go and read that, and I'll update you all later, or if I don't update you today, I'll update you tomorrow. So catch you later. Good evening, my loves. I've lost my voice then. Thought I'd come on and give you a little bit of a reading update. Not much. I'm reading All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. Now, I didn't realise this was actually a chunky book for a romance, and I'm not vibing with it at the minute. Now, Mariana Zapata, her books are serious slow burn books. They are. You don't get any action or any like actual them admitting they love each other, fall in love, have sex, all that malarkey. You don't get that to like the very last bit of the book. So I'm very aware of that. But this book is slightly boring me at the minute. Now, I'm not far in. Let me just tell you whereabouts I am. So I'm on chapter 7. So I'm on page 116 of 560. Oh, I actually read quite a bit, actually. I didn't feel like I read that much. I'm not vibing with the love interest at the moment. Like, most of her books are grumpy sunshine, and I'm usually fine with it. I don't know whether, because this book isn't a sports romance, whether that's making it a difference for me, because like the 2 books I read by her was From Lukov with Love, which was figure skating. The second book was The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, which was football, or in my case it's rugby, because the UK, like, it's touchball, which is for us in the UK is rugby. But anyway, and I don't know whether because when there wasn't any like romancing bit or any like banter or anything, we had the sports part that kept me sort of entertained, whether because this hasn't got that, whether that's why I'm a bit bored. like the first chapter literally was of our main character Aurora, basically driving to a destination, coming up to the place, and then finds out that actually the person who the person's garage that she's renting and staying in for a month, he had no clue. His teenage son put the ad up to directly get the money so he could buy a new guitar, and his father was like, no. So it turns out that she shouldn't have been there, and then she basically pleaded to this really grumpy man for her to stay, and he finally gave in. He's just miserable. He is absolutely miserable. He's not polite. He doesn't even do a smile. He's not overly brilliant with a son either. I'm just there thinking I'm not keen on him. But this is really descriptive. The work, the actual descriptions of the place where she's staying, where in America she's staying. I don't even remember where it is, to be honest. I'm just I'm bored. I don't really want to know a whole description of what this shop looks like. And then the only bit of action that we're getting at the moment was she's working in a shop where her once best friend works at, and it's an equipment centre, so to do with fishing and things like that. All these people are asking all these questions. She has no clue because she doesn't know any of that, so she's pretty much useless at her job. But her old best friend's pretty much keeping her there because she needs the help. The only sort of entertaining bit at the moment was the teenage son. She found him and he was in absolute agony, and she's like, oh, what's wrong? And it turns out he's had a really bad stomachache. So she rang an old friend, and they saying what do you think this is? I think it's this. And they were like, yeah, you're right. So she basically suspected he had appendicitis. So she rang his dad, and he was out on working, and he had no signal. So basically she left him a message saying, your son's in pain, I think he's got appendicitis, and taken him to hospital. And she rang the boy's uncle, who said, I'll meet you there. So she took so we had that bit. And then when the father finally came, and he didn't even thank her, and I was just like, for God's sake, what is your issue with her? She didn't do this on purpose. She went there, she assumed it was for rent. She didn't get the son to do it. And he was just miserable. And then he ended up saying, sort of in his own way, saying thank you. And basically he was like, I owe you one, So she ended up turning around to him the following day to say, you said you owe me one. Well, can you teach me about fishing and all that so she can actually properly do her job? So they just had a 30-minute of her asking all these questions about fish. And I'm there thinking, this is the boringest conversation I've ever witnessed. I'm bored. The only character I like is Aurora, and possibly the teenager. I'm wondering whether there might be a sort of friendship happening between them, possibly. It's boring. There's nothing going on, and I'm there thinking I don't particularly like the male character. He is a miserable bloke and outrightly rude. It's not it is just sheer rudeness he's giving me, and there's just nothing going on, and I'm thinking there doesn't even seem to be a attraction between one another. There was more attraction from Aurora to this uncle who was called Johnny. She had more attraction to him than she did with Rhodes, basically. And I'm just there thinking, this is a 560 page book. I'm if it's going at this speed and this boring pace with nothing going on, I think I'm going to have to DNF, because I am bored. I'm absolutely bored. I'm not against a slow burn romance, but at least give me some frickin' character plot or something to make me want to keep reading, because I'm not in the mood to. I'm really hoping it picks up, because there's better reviews in this book than there was with the 2 books I read. So I'm at the moment I don't see why they're raving at, so I'm hoping it picks up. But I like Aurora, and it's very clear, we don't fully know her background at the minute, but it's clear that her mum died. We're not sure how whether it was an accident going to a hike that she wanted to do, or whether it was a hiking accident. It's not clear, but her mother passed away, and it's obviously left her quite messed up in a bit. She's still grieving, even though it's been years. She's just come out of a divorce, so she was married to someone for 14 years. Turns out he cheated on her or had an affair, one of the two, both the same really. But I'm not 100% sure, but it's very clear that she's got some musical talent. I'm not sure whether she wrote his songs or whether she wrote the music, but she obviously was very part of doing all of these songs and everything. But she never got the recognition. No one said that he obviously sung them, but actually she wrote the songs. There was no recognition, and obviously when their marriage and all that broke off, she got kicked to the curb and didn't do anything. So I think it's very clear that she's got some musical ability, especially when she was talking to the teenager about guitars. But yeah, it's just like we've got a very in-depth thing about this shop about fishing, which I do not care for. You know, we've got very little. It's just nothing's happening, and I'm like, I'm bored, and I'm not really like, apart from Aurora, I'm not really bothered by any of the characters. Like the main love interest is an absolute prick in my opinion, and I'm just there thinking. So I'm hoping it picks up. I really do. Otherwise, I might just just cut this book off and be like, right now, and pick another book that I know has got fox proximity in, because this book is just not doing it. But I'm going to give it another try. You know, I'm going to read a little bit and see if it does pick up, because hopefully it will, because, you know, she does write amazing. But at the minute, I'm just like, I'm not liking this book. So we'll see. But whatever happens, I'll update you whether I've just... If I do end up giving up with this book and DNFing it, then I would just close the vlog and start again in another one, because I'm not going to continue doing this trying to figure out what book to read. But hopefully, as I keep reading, things might pick up and I might change my opinion. So fingers crossed, we'll see. Hi my loves, so I am going to finish this vlog here. I am still reading All Roads Lead here. I don't know how much I've got left. I'm like over halfway now. I'm saying I've got like a third left of the book. It is picking up. I'm enjoying it a bit more, so I can't complain, but I thought I would just end this vlog here, since otherwise we're going to be going on forever and I want to start another vlog. Just to recap on the books I read The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, absolutely loved it. Watched the movie, loved it. Both the movie and the book are amazing, 5 stars. I also read Lessons in Corruption by Gianna, absolutely loved that. I think this, out of all the books I've read, is my favourite book. I just loved it. It was steamy, I got hot under the collar. It was really trash at first, but then like the last half of the book, it actually did start getting a bit of a plot, and I really liked that, and I actually liked some of the rep that started showing up as well. 5 stars, favourite book, definitely going to continue reading that series as well. And as you've seen, I have also started All Roads Lead here. Like I said, I'm over halfway. It was a slow start, but it is starting to pick up. I kind of feel like I'm pushing the force proximity prompt a little bit in this book, because I wouldn't say they're actually stuck together in one room or anything like that, but I'm kind of rolling with it because she lives in his garage. She literally is next door to his house. They had a camping moment where it's just the two of them, so I'm kind of going with it. I don't think it fully fits, but I'm making it fit basically. But that's the end of this vlog. 2 5-star reads, a firm favourite, and yeah. So thank you for watching this very impromptu reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!